G'day everyone. Welcome to week 5 on Smith and Klemm's the Thick of It podcast. We'll just jump straight in. It
Yeah.
is probably 3-4 days after the last matchup's finished, but we'll get straight into it and we'll talk about player of the week. And after we gave Sprinkles a bit of a rev up in our last podcast about how he needed to make some moves and stuff. He had a nice 9-0 win against Stu's team. And
Against you of all people as well. That just makes it so sweet.
That just brings us straight into the player of the week. And so he was third of the week.
Yep.
I think Jokic was second, but I think he only played 2 games.
Yeah, right.
And I think Curry was number 1 again. But in terms of you can't look past a 9-0 win. So
No.
I'm going to give player of the round to Jason Tatum.
Yep.
He averaged 28.1, 8.9, 3.9 assists and 1 block on decent field goal and 3 throw percentage. So
yep.
That's going to do it straight off the bat.
Pretty much. I'm in agreement there with you. So yeah.
But what a win that is by Sprinkles.
Yeah, and where does that mean? Like, where does that put him on the standings? Because
so he was sitting bottom, and he's just jumped up.
Leapfrogged. Yeah.
He's just jumped up to equal 8th.
Yeah, he's leapfrogged the likes of myself and you, just toiling away at the bottom. So no, good on Sprinkles. So. Now I think I might have lost you. We'll see if we can get you back, Merc.
You there?
Yeah. Okay. I'm good. All right. Let's go.
Yeah. So, I suppose we'll go on to the matchup of the round for you. You've got that under wraps.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's not. This is like all-time level close or nail-biting finish as there is. I don't think I've ever seen a closer matchup. At least from recent memory. But I think the matchup of the week goes. And I hate to sort of nominate myself, but it was a close matchup. You'd agree, I'm sure. But the big SK myself against Gavin, Mama Mentality. It was 5-4. Gavin's away. And there was a handful of categories that were sort of in reach, and there was just 2 that were just so close. And I think, looking at it now, it's something like 0.4% in terms of 3 for the win difference.
Yeah.
There was also a 3 in it as well, so I could have banged a couple of 3s and flipped that too. The rest was sort of like 10 rebounds here, yada yada. But look, it was rough, but like at least it's better than like another like massive loss, like especially in my position, because that would just sort of sink you further. But it was pretty rough not to get the wing there, with that one. So your thoughts? And we've lost you again there.
I missed all of that.
Really?
Yeah. So you basically just said about the foul shooting and then you just froze.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, it might have recorded on my side of things, so like I'll go through it afterwards. But look, in case it didn't, we'll recap. But it was a close matchup, 4-5, Gavin's away. And the 3 throw percentage was decided by 0.4%, which I've never seen something that close. There was a 3 in it as well, so that was another one that I could have just banged a couple and just maybe if I made a more smarter pickup, it might have gone my way. I was staring at picking up Toppin because there was 2 games left and they were playing on like Saturday and Monday or something like that, and there was only 1 game of like a couple of my guys. I'm like, oh no, like he might not get many minutes, and he killed it, of course. I'm like, fuck, if I just grabbed Top and my boy for 2 games,
Yeah.
I might have got there, but but it is what it is, sort of thing.
Do you think you may have made that pick if you hadn't have used all your ads earlier on in the week?
Well, oh yeah, true. Yeah, this week I did use all my ads. Fuck, maybe I was thinking of the other league, but I've stayed off from using. I've used one ad so far. And we're a few days in, so I'm doing pretty good. So
I think I've used 4 already
yeah, no, I've got and
for the next
Sexton.
round.
Yeah, Sexton, I'm just waiting to drop. As soon as one of my other guys gets injured, I'll just swap him out and just drop him. But at the moment, there's no point really dropping him until then. I'm up against Michael's teams, but it's early days. There's barely anything in it. So, but that's my closest matchup.
Yeah. So we'll go into waiver, and we spoke about this before we got on air. So it's a bit of a joint effort, and there wasn't
venture.
really a lot to sort of play with because there was lots of people chopping and changing and picking up a player that did well and then dropping them. But I reckon with Mobley being out for 2-3 weeks, and you tend to agree that Kevin Love with his 3 games of decent decent stats in like limited minutes. I think he averaged 20 minutes in those 3 games. Was probably waiver of the week. And obviously you versed him, didn't you? So
and look, could very well be his added rebounds and he shot 100% from the line, so he definitely would have been probably the big reason why they got it over me. But yeah, I agree with the Love being the best sort of waiver pick. I just think sort of high ceiling, as you mentioned, with Mobley being out. He could be averaging 10 and 7. He'd be giving you a couple threes.
yeah,
You're good with that. So yeah,
I haven't watched many games this year, but in terms of Mobley being out, do you think they end up playing Markkinen at the 5 with Love at the 4, or how do you think that's all going to play out for the Cavs?
Well, look, Lowry showed some sort of promise as playing sort of the 3, and there was sort of like early on when they had the big 3 sort of lineup. He's come back after a bit of a stretch off, something like 10 games or something. He's dropped 22, so he hasn't missed a beat. Like I really, they don't really have any other options outside of Mobley at center, do they?
They've got Allen.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so I mean, I think they could still find some success with having that sort of 3 big lineup, but it just really depends on what sort of Love is on the defensive end. Because to lose Mobley, it's pretty huge. And Allen was dominating at the 4 and being able to sort of rim run a bit more and sort of play with space. So if he's sort of squaring up against most big men, he's going to be a little bit neutralized, I guess. Love is going to provide space. He's going to jack threes, so he's going to rebound the ball. Like, what else can you want? Sort of thing. So,
so we've sort of covered it off our 3 topics. So let's just do a bit of freestyling now. What were your thoughts about the LeBron Stewart scenario?
Then
I'll give you my thoughts.
Yeah, look, I think I was working when it happened, and I sort of just got a few alerts and things like that. I was checking every now and then, and sort of I knew something had gone on, and then someone saying, "Oh, someone got cut, blood." I didn't know who, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll suss it out when I get home." Got home and I just see it's like this 4-minute highlight package of just the LeBron and Stewart tough. I'm like, oh, here we go. Yeah, okay, watch it. You don't even see the hit from LeBron. You just see a bit of a arm swing, and then you just see him straight away going, "Fuck, sorry, mate." LeBron's not the type of guy who generally is like outright dirty type thing. He's got a bit of a rep to protect, but and Stewart sort of got up, sort of like, all right, and then just fucking flipped, man, and then. He flipped.
He got angry.
For the first 20 seconds, I'm like, yeah, cool. Oh shit. Oh, blood. Oh yeah, no, yeah, fair enough. Like he got hit, and then they played it a few times. I'm like, oh, LeBron, you fucking cheeky cunt. Yeah, like he's got a decent elbow in on him, but then the second, the third, the 4th time this guy just charges back, I was stunned, man. I was shocked. I was like, this dude's crazy, man. It's Yeah, and I was like, what? Like, and I was trying to figure out, like, is this for show or is it for, like, or is he sort of really trying to throw hands? Because he could have thrown hands, at the very start. So, yeah, I'm not too sure. Sort of, I think I've lost you again, Merc. You there?
No, you're there.
All right,
So
cool.
hopefully that's recorded what you just said, but
Yeah,
I'll sort of give you my thoughts on it. So how I saw it was Stewart in the middle block, almost kind of like hooked
hooked at
LeBron's
LeBron.
arm to
Yeah,
begin with.
yeah. There's a reason
So
why LeBron reacted that way. Yeah.
So LeBron then tried to like get that hook away by moving his arm and obviously connected him in the eye.
Just sort of like
But
get the fuck off me, sort of thing.
I think the thing that I love the most is the thing that I laughed at. Like I just laughed at it so much. Is the third moment when he kind of tricked everybody that he'd calmed
like
down.
around.
And then he literally like just tried to like, it was like not a quarterback, a running back.
I know, it's just like,
but for the NFL, and he just started charging through the whole,
like flying and shit. I'm like, this is comical.
I watched that about 3-4 times, and just like it made me laugh every time. Like, I'm calm. Oh no, tricked you.
Tricked you, fuckhead. It's like, like, and then like he run, and then finally his finale is he runs out like into the locker rooms as if he's gonna like fucking do the so everyone's like, oh, on the court, like, what's gonna happen? Like security's on him. It's like, this is ridiculous, man. Like, how is he still like even doing anything?
And the court announcers, like I heard the court announcer go, "Please, spectators, stay in your seats."
Yeah, as if it's like a deranged killer, like out in the loose. It's like,
probably more so that they didn't want like a repeat of the
of course,
Palace, but because fans would have obviously either party would have got some sort of emotional thought process behind the whole scenario. So
of course. If he's in that kind of state, and then if you come across some sort of fan or someone who sort of thought, oh, I'm gonna fucking like fans, stupid idiots do, like, then we'd see a man kill a man, sort of thing. So
see a man kill a man.
It's no joke. Like it's so it was a good thing.
So with sort of the fantasy stuff covered, I guess, like, what are you sort of liking about the NBA? What are sort of your takes in terms of like the actual standings? Who you think's going to be sort of like in the top 4 for the foreseeable future on both East and West?
Look, I'll go through some quick hitters for both conferences. Klemm's quick hitters. Look, Brooklyn, I expect them to be there, maybe not first seed, but top 3, just with LeBron. Just with KD and Harden. So that's enough said. Miami, I didn't think would be this good defensively, but defensively they're the bee's knees. Chicago, I didn't see them being this good. I was boyish on them, like top 6. I didn't see them as being that good defensively, or on par. Washington, I was like, oh, they're nice. Spencer, Beal, I could see it happening, but Bertans has actually been good. All their role players has been good. So it's they got the
I did say to you, I did say to you before the season started that the Bulls and the Wizards would be up there.
And look, Charlotte, I like, it's still early, but I expect them to drop off a little. But I was expecting them to drop off way earlier than this, or sort of just be like another fun team, maybe a year away. The Knicks have slowly come back from a really bad slide after starting red hot.
So can you see anyone outside the top 8 right now?
Philly, Cleveland, Hawks. Man, you could say anywhere from Philly to Toronto, 9 to 12, and maybe even a rough year as a play-in, the Pacers, all to be right in there. So then, I mean, what teams are you knocking out? It's crazy out in the East. Obviously Milwaukee's going to come into Boston. I could see even missing and playing the play-in. Philly, I don't know what's going on with Embiid, so that they could be very well a playing team. Cleveland, I think, will just, Mobley being out, that's going to hurt. I think they're going to be a playing team. And Hawks, they should be higher. They might end up bumping out like a Charlotte or a Knicks maybe, sort of thing. And then
But if you're sort of knowing that you're not probably, it's like a 50-50 chance of whether you're going to make the playoffs or not. If you're the Hawks, do you go, well, I don't like tanking, and I don't think teams set out to tank, but if it's not your year, is it not necessarily a bad thing if you finish a little bit lower, maybe get a better draft pick to pair with Trey Young, so you can sort of get better. You look at the Mavericks, for instance, they're sitting fourth in the Western Conference, but I still don't see them getting out of the first or second round.
Well, no, they need to make another move. But I mean, in relation to your Hawks, I mean, they've got so much young talent, and sort of the time is sort of now in a way. But also, I mean, if you're sort of sitting around about the 10th spot in the East, you're probably sitting 8 to 12 range in terms of lottery, and historically speaking, you're able to get like a decent piece if you're smart and you do your research and et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, I think they need to capitalize on some of the young guys and sort of just go forward, not take a step back, because that's when you'll start you get all these young guys who haven't been paid yet, and they're not going to be able to pay them all, but they're going to have to figure it out. And then if you start getting like extra drama where these young dudes who want playing time and they're competing with each other start just being a bit of a cancer, that's not what you want, because that just takes years off your overall window to compete. So so I think they should be sort of progressing and getting better, and to miss the playoffs would be a disappointment. Given given where they were last year, and given the fact there was high hopes for Reddish and Hunter, who's now injured again, to really take a step up. But
so do you think the gap between the worst and the best in the East is sort of like the gap's closing 100%, a bit, where
100%.
where it is so competitive, where it might get down to the last 3 or 4 games where, depending on how that last 4 or 5 games goes, you literally finish anywhere between 5 and 8.
Yeah. And look, Detroit and Orlando, if you legitimately, you look at the Eastern standards, Detroit and Orlando are the only teams that have blown it up. As in the obvious white flag, we're playing the young guys. No, none of those other teams are sitting there sort of half, a couple of teams kind of are, but they've been smart about it. But 1 foot in, 1 foot out. They're trying to contend. They're trying to get better. Sort of thing. And they've got talent and they've got pieces. So that's crazy, man. It used to be just the bottom 5 of the East for so many years were just fucking trash, man. And the Knicks were a massive part of that. So it's good to see some sort of balance, across both conferences. But we can move out out west, and I mean, maybe you could fire off with a few of yours, and I'll follow yourself.
With the West, Warriors being the top and getting Clay back very soon is quite a.
Oh, what's the news on that? Have you heard anything? When's Clay come back, or you just?
Oh, he's. I think he started 5-on-5. I'm fairly sure.
Really? Yeah, I heard early January.
I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back a little bit prior, but
Christmas.
They'll nurse him. They'll nurse him even if he comes back early. There's no point slotting him in and playing him 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll look at the rest of what's longer, Lakers missing the playoffs or Kyle Kuzma's pink jumper?
So when you say longer, as in the
odds,
the odds, well, you have to say Kuzma's jumper. That shit was ridiculous, man. I don't understand it. I'm all for pushing the boundaries and all that jazz, but
Well,
Like what?
all I can say is you don't need to use a cum sock.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just not practical at all, like in the slightest. It's minus. It's just not. It's just not. I'm not about it. I'm not about it. I'm not about it at all. So,
Oh, the memes and the videos and stuff that came about it. Oh, that was
it was good, man.
so good.
But what else you got? What thoughts you got out for West besides the Lakers odds?
It's kind of like the East a little bit. I reckon probably from the Timberwolves up. I can't see Thunder, Kings, Spurs, or Pelicans, Rockets making it.
So that's the difference.
But I reckon from the Timberwolves up.
Yeah, agree.
Like Trailblazers, they're above 50%, but like Grizzlies are probably Grizzlies are a very well constructed side.
Yeah.
You've obviously got JV. Is he still shooting the highest 3-point percentage in the league?
I believe so. I mean, the Suns are on 13 wins in a row.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And Aiton's starting to play good again. Obviously, I've got him in fantasy, so
yeah. Well, he's back.
Been somewhat.
Yeah. He's back from injury, yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah,
he came back from injury. I think he played a couple of games and they weren't great games. And then
right.
I think his last two games, he's put in some pretty decent numbers.
Yeah.
Which has been good.
Well,
but yeah, I reckon from 4th down to 10th, things could shuffle around quite comfortably. Whatever that looks like, I'm not too sure at this point in time.
Well, Lakers are looking like a bubble, like a playing team. Like it's crazy. Like I didn't think Dallas would be this high. I thought they were going to be in the 8, but I didn't think it was going to be 4th.
Lakers have sort of really hedged themselves, and I don't like the way they've hedged themselves short term and long term. Is they've basically created a buy now or sort of like a win now window. And I think literally they've only got to be honest, I think probably this year's window.
Yep.
And are they setting the world on fire? No.
Yeah. Look, it might very well be the time that we start questioning LeBron's like all-time level ability to make people around him like better, and it's still right there, but I just mean that he doesn't have the same. It's probably more about his individual game. He doesn't have the same impact on the game where he can just come into a new team, just facilitate, make everyone better, and also be the guy that takes over. He's just not there. The games aren't there as well. They're putting themselves in a sort of position where they're not at an advantage sort of thing. And
I personally think that the GM has to make some moves here, and there's plenty of players out there that are on stacked teams. That when I mean stacked, like stacked at that position. You look at what's his name again?
What team?
I can't remember how to actually fucking say it.
What team?
For Washington.
Oh, fuck.
Starts with H. I don't think
the rookie or no? Hachimura Rui or whatever.
That's the guy I'm talking about. So
he's
not playing at the moment.
Yeah.
They've got Thomas Bryant to come back. They've got Gafford. They've got Harrell. I just look at something like that as from a GM standpoint is you got to get creative with that Lakers roster. And so you got to look at for teams that might go, well, we've got a plethora of bigs, maybe just getting rid of a guard, for instance, to bring in someone to maybe play alongside AD.
What guard though?
Huh?
What you mean, like a Monk or a Nunn or something? Like get rid of those guys to
well, look, are you playing Nunn at the moment?
Well, no, he's injured, but I mean, but Monk is playing decent, but there's really the thing is, like, they really don't have any other sort of trade filler sort of contracts, apart from sort of, I mean, Bradley's on like 3 million, like things like that, where you're gonna have to send like 4 or 5 bodies over just to be able to get like a decent contract back,
Yeah,
Um,
I just like, so that's just an example.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that Lakers do need to get creative and trying to utilize maybe a decent player that has shown that they can play, because the guy from Wizards actually played. He was on my fantasy roster like 2 seasons ago, and he was flat out balling before he did an injury. So he can play, and so you gotta get creative and look at guys that are third, fourth on the depth chart for whatever reason, whether it's been a falling out or a big significant injury, or they've just added new guys and so they've fallen down the pecking order, but they're still better than your first or second string guys at that same position.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think Lakers definitely needed to start doing some of that stuff.
I mean, you could make a trade. I mean, you could maybe make a trade with sort of like a. I mean, they're never gonna trade with the Clippers, sort of thing. But I mean, maybe there's a trade from sort of Utah or sort of Dallas, maybe getting a Timmy Hardaway Jr. for like, I don't know, like it's maybe they might want Westbrook. Like, who knows, man? But like, I really can't see Lakers sort of making like a significant deal. But
no, but they definitely should be looking, like
of course, they'll do
they really
some.
should be looking,
Yeah, they'll
because
do some.
ultimately, I also look at just centers in general. Like, if you're not going to play AD as a center and you are looking to, like, DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard,
They're not
I
going to cut
think
it. No,
not going to cut it,
no.
unfortunately. You might get one of those guys to be sort of a backup and give you, like 1 or 2 blocks and some rebounds, but in terms of being a significant,
Yeah,
like,
when it
integral
matters.
part of your roster,
Yeah, yeah.
you're not going to. And so there are plenty of teams that got 2 or 3 bigs on their roster, and they're only utilizing 1 or 2, where you can make a small play. And that, and that's not a good thing for the Lakers. But if that's all you've got to work with, well, then you got to make do with what you've got to work with. And
well, look, I'm looking at the salary now, and this would be the deal that would be happening if they were to make a deal that doesn't include one of the big three. But it's Taylor Horton Tucker, $9.5 million. Kendrick Nunn, $5 million. They're going to be hoping that he gets back from being injured and plays some decent minutes. But you're at about $14 million then. And then you might chuck in like an Ariza, Bradley, Howard, Rondo, whatever.
so what's their current usage? Like, what's Vogel playing in terms of the amount of people he's playing? Like, what's his rotations like?
Well, he's only really
Is he playing like 9? Is he playing like a 9-man rotation?
Yeah, pretty
Or
much. Like even an 8. I mean, today they just
so
played. Yeah,
Nunn's expendable. Like, if Nunn comes
yeah,
back from playing
of
time,
course
but
he
you're only
is.
going to give
Of course he
him
is.
15.
They
You're only going to give
prefer,
him 15 minutes.
yeah, they prefer to move Nunn over a Monk who's playing well, but he's still got value.
Yeah, so like, if you know you're not going to play him, and maybe they're waiting until he does come back from injury, but there's also plenty of guys out there that look, do they make a chance and go and try to see if they can get Bagley and turn him into something?
Yeah, or they might be able to get like a Barton from Denver. They might be able to get a Joe Harris from the Nets. Those kind of guys. That's pretty much the best they're going to be able to sort of do. Maybe like a Marcus Smart, from Boston. Like things like that. But we'll just, if they're healthy, then they're right there. But it's they're going to get there first, really. So
Yeah, it's sort of like, I don't, from like a team perspective, I just don't like the way the Lakers went all in on a buy now window of like a championship. because I don't feel like how old's Westbrook now? What, 30,
30, 31. No, it's not
30,
that old.
32?
Yeah.
You got DeAndre Jordan, who's old. You got Dwight Howard, who's old. You got LeBron, who is extremely
They're
old.
Yeah, they're old.
Like LeBron would benefit from like almost, to be honest. And look,
I know what you're gonna say, but yeah.
how. Well, do you know what I'm going to say? How many years does LeBron have left on his contract?
Well, sort of resetting a little bit, and then playing with some young talent that play. They got some continuity, and they play. They play into each other, sort of thing. And rather than just shipping everyone out, jumping ship, sort of thing, trade him for now, like kind of what I'm not saying he could have had it, but kind of what they could have had at the Lakers like this year, like having like Randall, fucking Lonzo Ball, Kuzma, LeBron, fucking name all the other dudes, like it's sort of like, Hart, fucking Caruso, like that team would have fucking like, and then they get AD anyway, like, like I don't know, but like it's because AD was going to come there, sort of thing.
AD was going to go there,
yeah.
They could have had AD, Randall, Ingram, LeBron.
Fuck, dude, yeah, exactly. Like it's. Yeah, and then he could have played to his he might still obviously, but he could have easily played to his 42, 43, win a couple more chips, and he's just like the sixth man, or he just plays like spot up minutes, plays in the playoffs, Like, whereas now it's kind of he's still putting heavy minutes on himself, sort of thing when he's in. And whether these injuries that he's having are sort of legit or he's sort of milking a bit just in a guise to sort of prolong his career, he's smart, I wouldn't be surprised, but like it's going to happen. Father Time's undefeated, obviously, the cliche that it is. And he's not going to be at this sort of level for any consistent basis. So then you're pretty much saying you want to put together a team with him in it that is good enough to get 50 games without him playing. That's fucking hard. That's hard to do, sort of thing.
It is very.
And with him playing 40 games, like, in and out, like it's disruptive. Like, and the sort of, the spotlight that is LeBron James. It was easy to be backed up before when it was actually backed up, but now at the moment we're questioning whether all this sort of hype can be backed up. So we'll see.
Well, that's the big thing with LeBron is he's got another 2 years. I just looked just then. He's got another 2 years on his contract. He's not.
He'll sort of see the end of this one, I reckon. Then he'll just keep signing like max 1 years, and just be like maybe he'll jump another ship. Like I don't know, like, but I don't think he'd ring chase, but. Yeah, like he'll just keep milking it, man, and just making 50 million a year, like sort of thing. It's crazy. Like,
well, and that's probably the good thing is that if he can lose his ego, and look, I don't think he is kind of like some of the other like bigger names that couldn't sort of let that be, like Allen Iverson back in the day. Where he went to Memphis and he didn't want to play on the bench and whatnot, is that if LeBron goes, you know what, just give me 15 to 20 minutes and I'll be a six man type thing. He literally could play well into his 40s.
Yeah, well, look, I think he would welcome that in the right situation, because not because he's some like he is a good teammate and everything, but not because he's some like saint, non-selfish saint, but more in a selfish way, just knowing that that's the best role that he's able to impact the team in a positive way and still limit his minutes, so he's still like load managing as well, like and more or less he's out there in the last 5 minutes anyway, so he's more or less a starter. Like it'll be that kind of role, or he might be good enough just to play 25 minutes starting. Like I don't know. Like it's like you have to think that pretty much any team, even up to the point that he retires, is probably better with LeBron out there. Even if it's just spot up LeBron like throwing dimes, sort of thing. He's Draymond Green, sort of thing. So
well, that's what when you were talking about what Lakers rosters could have been, is they may have not have even had to get Westbrook. They could have had AD, Randall, Ingram, Kuzma. So you could have played Ingram at the 2, and LeBron could have just been their starting point guard.
Yeah. And even just in a vacuum with the Russell deal, there was real legitimate talks, and there's multiple sources reporting that they could have got Buddy, and they sort of went cold and then went after Westbrook, the big name sort of thing. But they could have had Buddy, and they were looking like kind of like Demar was saying he was all for Lakers and pretty much was waiting for them to sort of make the offer, and they never really did. All the money that they did was nowhere near what he was getting at the Bulls, and he's kind of like, well, fuck it, and I'll go play the Bulls. Like Lakers was his first choice. Like they could have got Demar and Buddy like through trade. Like tell me you don't want that team over the trash that they're putting out at the moment, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Buddy's a 6 man of the year candidate, and Demar's just dominating. Like third in the league in scoring.
But I also think Demar's much better fit in the Bulls team than he would have been at the
as a
Lakers.
basketball fan, I'm glad that that's how it went down. You know what I mean? But like for the Lakers, it's yeah.
I think the style of play with the three style guards with Ball, Levine, and DeRozan just fits really, really well. I think that DeRozan probably would have still got some very similar numbers, but I think in terms of like how he would impact the game and the style of play and stuff, I don't think he really would have necessarily fitted quite well with
Lakers.
With the Lakers. But that's just my opinion at the end of the day.
I don't think he would have scored. He probably would have scored 18, 19 points a game, if that, sort of thing. So, and I don't think he would have been anywhere near as efficient, just because there's not as much space, not as much playmaking. The Bulls have got just such a great team, as you mentioned, great chemistry. And you can say the three guards, and then you bring in Caruso off the bench, who's just one of the premier sort of elite wing guys, and it's got real underrated sort of playmaking skills as well.
Bulls will do well if Vucevic can stay healthy, because
he's just got COVID. He's just going through, and now he's going through the couple of days of conditioning. He's back, but he needs to get into form. He's healthy. He just needs to get into form, like sort of thing. Yeah.
Just from a long-term standpoint, is if he can, if he can stay healthy. That roster can literally do anything. Like, to be honest, as a Bucks fan, I'd be very scared of coming up against the Bulls in the playoffs. I really would.
Oh yeah, I think any team would. I mean, how would you, how could you sort of legitimately not be wary of playing against the Bulls? They just have so many weapons. Sort of thing. They have mismatches at pretty much every single sort of position. And they're just a well-rounded, well-coached team, and they've got a lot of young guys.
And in a best-of-7 series where their style of play is very tiring for some of the other better older teams like Brooklyn and stuff. Like I said this in one of the Facebook groups, is that regardless of that Brooklyn's above them in the standings, is Durant going to be able to go through 6 games, 7 games against the Bulls at his age?
Whoa.
LaMarcus Aldridge being old, Griffin being old.
Well, KD like almost just beat the reigning champs by himself. Yeah. So I mean, and like half a Harden. Like
that's one game though, man.
What do you mean one game? He was like player of the series if it went the way of the Nets.
You meant last
year. Yeah. So you can't count it out until you that's what you've seen. You know what I mean? Now that I'm seeing this kind of level from LeBron, I'm starting to question it. But until I see that from Durant, I'm not going to question it. He's all time. Yeah. So, and
I just kind of saw how Tucker played Durant in that series.
Yeah.
And sure, Durant still put up some big numbers, but your image went off.
Yeah,
there you go.
Sorry, my bad.
But so Durant still put up numbers, but he had to fucking work for it. And being his age.
So who have the Bulls got that can do that? Is my question.
As in to lock him down.
To do anything close to what PJ did last year. Like if you see that's about as good as you can guard the guy. Yeah, bar maybe if you had like Giannis on him the whole series, which isn't going to happen. But like who on the Bulls would be able to sort of do that? Because Caruso, man, are you kidding? But and Demar's really sort of like is okay at times, but he's really abysmal in a lot of metrics in terms of defense and things like that. So I just think and look, it'd be Pat Williams is the answer, right? But is a second year guy. He's had some health issues already, sort of thing. I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but that's pretty much the answer right there. So that's a big reason why people are sort of down on the Bulls, but they've proved the haters
and
right.
Look, PJ Tucker, regardless of what he's doing stat wise or on the offensive end, he didn't care. Like, he was right up in Durant's face, just talking smack and just
great.
being like an absolute flog, which I love. But yeah, like you said, maybe Williams can't be that guy. Like, Durant all of a sudden hits 30 on him, and then Pat just decides to cave and
well, that's what
Durant
I mean.
the next
He's just gonna
Durant the next game is 50.
Yeah, he's gonna have like raw athletic and just freak show sort of abilities on the defensive end and sort of pretty good instincts, but he's just not going to have the reps in terms of what he's seen in a professional basketball game, in terms of what the offensive player can bring, what the offense is going to bring, etc., etc. It's just not mature. He's not a vet, so it's just not going to be able to cut it. So that's why PJ, even though he's a couple of years past his prime, from those Houston days, he's still as good. Same as Iggy, they're still as good a perimeter defender when they're locked in and when they're ready to go. So
look. If I'm honest, if Brooklyn can somehow, like, we're projecting here that they're going to be versing each other like in a very close to the title sort of series in the Eastern Conference.
Well. Yeah, could very well.
But if Brooklyn can slow that game down and play a more sort of a half court set game, and remove what I think the Bulls are good at, then I think Brooklyn beat them. But I still think that in a run and gun style, I can just see Brooklyn being quite tired and fatigued in a best of 7 series. That's just my opinion. And look, I can put my hand up and later down the track and say I was wrong, because
no. I'd get on board with it. I could see, maybe Brooklyn and Durant on the back of Durant, like a 50-point game, like coming out and blowing the brakes off from game one. Maybe it being even like a close Brooklyn win on the second, and then it's like, oh well, here we go. And then then Chicago just rattled off the next 3, and then it's 3-2, and then maybe they close it in 6. I could see that happening, and we've already seen it with sort of the sort of basement / ceiling of this Bulls team is they've been down big, just making stupid mistakes, not knowing each other's game, etc. late in the game, third and fourth quarter, and they've made some massive runs back. So when they're clicking, they know how to go, sort of thing. So, and this team's just so well put together. And you're right. I just think, guys, I just don't think the Nets have, outside of KD, the massive advantage there on the wing. They just don't have the sort of shooting guard to small forward sort of depth that the Bulls have. Outside of Brown, I'm probably missing a few guys. Obviously Mills, but he's sort of undersized. And the Bulls would sort of win their games there, I think. And you sort of mentioned the Nets would probably not want to play into the Bulls' advantage in terms of transition. I think the Nets are as good in transition or even better than the Bulls, when it comes down to it. But I think the Bulls can play in the half court really well as well, especially if Vooch is what he should be, sort of thing. And they've got some sort of big lengthy guys at the 3 and the 4, so I think they can play the half court. Probably the half court difference would be a lot closer than what I think the transition would be as a ceiling for the Nets if they're just clicking. And this is minus Kyrie, so it'll. I think I'm picking that to be probably one of the more exciting matchups, and later in the second round, maybe an Eastern Conference final style thing. So
we've definitely got some enjoyable basketball coming our way. That's for sure this season.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially matchups, but not only that is just the standings, like we said on both sides is 5 down to 10 or 11 could probably
Mm.
somehow, the last few games, could find themselves in the finals.
Yeah, yeah. A team that we sort of will all that a big portion of the NBA sort of world will recognize as being a playoff team will get, won't be there sort of thing. So it'll be a shock either way, especially at East, as we touched on. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, agree.
So I suppose before we leg it is the Brown Simmons trade. What do you like the trade chatted? Would you do that if you were Boston, or would you do that if you
Nah.
were Philly?
Well, I mean, you just need to know what the fuck's going on with this dude, man. Like, so, like, is he playing? Is he actually like mentally fucking not ready to play, or is he just pulling like like?
If I was Sixers, I would instantly go. If Brown was available, I'd do it.
Oh,
Get rid of
yeah, that's what I mean. But like, I sort of naturally just approached this from the Boston side because I just figured that the Sixers side was an automatic like fucking bang on the trigger. But from
Yeah.
Boston, it's like you'd have to at least want like Simmons, like whatever pick they have, and like Shake Milton, or something like that, like
Yeah.
or maybe they get Curry, get some shooting there. I don't know. Like they'd have to get some decent couple
Yeah.
pieces back. So
And you'd have to, as Boston, you'd have to do some homework behind the scenes of what the fuck are you going to get
what's
back?
going on, man? Yeah.
Like, are you going to get the same headaches? Like, you've got Brown, who is a starter,
Yeah.
for someone who might come and then he might not even rock up to practice.
Yeah, and then the thing you have to realize is like they rely on a player in Smart that is pretty much everything Simmons is, but he's like 6 inches shorter. So are you then either playing Smart 20 plus minutes a game along with Simmons, along with Tatum, and then expecting to be any good on offense? No, like you got so many non-shooters. So then you're then having to cap Smart's minutes, who's another one of your guys, sort of like, he's big in the rotation over there, obviously. So then you've just shortened your rotation even more. Like, and then you've just delegated one of your sort of like core players, like to a sort of a bench role, So like, I just think it opens a lot more. And then who plays their like sort of wing outside of Tatum? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's like they'd have to be getting some wing or guard depth back from Philly or some other move, because I think it may as well be a white flag. It may as well just be like, oh, we're tanking for the season sort of thing if they make that move. So I'd be really surprised if that one went through. But the Sixers would be killing it if they did. So
Yeah. So I think we touched on it a little bit earlier as well, like not in this one, but I think it was probably our first one where we spoke about is who has come back from an ACL injury that is anywhere near where they were at.
in terms of who, like compared to who?
Just in general. So like who has had an ACL injury in NBA history that's come back and been anywhere near where they were at before their ACL?
Levine's been better.
Well, yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
You name any others?
There's not many. I mean, not like it. You could sort of. No, not really.
Because if I'm Denver, I instantly will trade Murray for Simmons. Instantly. Just from the ACL standpoint. If the Sixers are interested in that deal, I'd do it instantly. Instantly.
Why would the Sixers do it, bro?
To get rid of Simmons and potentially see
That's
what they
actually
can
pretty
do.
good. It's a pretty good option. I think that's a pretty good scenario. But I just sort of think
Like
Denver's.
I think there's enough for and against for like Sixers to go, I'll have a look at that. Like, yes, we are taking someone who's done ACL, but he was lighting people up for 50 or 40 in the playoffs.
Again, it's another deal that if you're the Sixers, you're sort of pretty much are going, okay, like.
And we'll just see what we can do with his injury, his
Yeah.
rehab, whatever. to even get him anywhere close to where he was at.
Well, if an 80 to 85% Murray comes back with Embiid and all the rest, I think that's a legitimate Eastern team. So,
yeah, and if Denver are looking at their team now and going, we can make it tilt.
Yeah, but Murray and Jokic, they're boys, man. Like they're like,
No, they are.
Yeah, so I just think you sort of be like, nah, like it would have to be coming from the Joker, obviously. MVP of the league, you know, it's
right.
Yeah, so it's.
I can just see the Joker playing high post, feeding these ridiculous passes to Simmons doing a backdoor.
Crazy.
For like easy buckets.
Yeah.
The only reason why I bring that up is because, like, other than Levine, and maybe Derrick Rose now, but like Derrick Rose is more of just a glue guy now. Like he's not anything.
Not. You can't really say he's anywhere better or close to it.
Yeah. So like I just look at the NBA history of like who has done their ACL and returned anywhere like
small sample size, but Porzingis this year has been good.
Yeah,
you know, but it's still way early. So, you know, you could do it again and you'd be fucked. Yeah, sort of
but more of a guard ACL than a
Because there's not many. Plenty of guards with sort of like some MCLs or meniscus issues, but yeah, not many that sort of done ACLs. And Levine's really the only one that stands out or comes to mind, like where he's just come back better. And that could just be natural progression. Maybe could have even been better if he didn't. I mean, obviously he'd be better in some way if he didn't do his ACL, but he's the only guy that I can sort of think of. I'm like, fuck, he did his ACL, sort of thing. This kind of jumping out of the gym, like, man. So it's crazy. But yeah, you're right. It'd be a very short list of guys, and I don't think any sort of really come close.
I know. I'm just trying to find. I'm just trying to find
some context. Yeah, I get it as well. It's yeah. Well, I mean, what and you sort of dismissed any sort of possible talks of a Simmons Michael Porter Jr. deal or what?
Well,
because Porter Jr. has been playing like trash. Yeah, so.
Well, he's not even playing because he's fucked his back.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So.
Well, if you thought that Murray was like, it's very hard because he does have a very bad back issue. So.
Bad history as well.
So. You could use that. You could just go, well, we don't. You literally, if Denver could literally just go to Sixers, we don't know what we're going to get with either of these players. Both of them can play.
Yeah.
Let's just do a swap and see what happens.
Yeah, it's a gentleman's handshake. Yeah, right. Yeah.
But if that was the case and Murray comes back to say like 60, 70% of what he was, Murray, Simmons, and Jokic would be a pretty decent squad. And then you just for Sixers, you just got to hope Michael just somehow gets his back better.
Yeah. But he's had a sort of history all through high school and even like his whole family and everything like that, or just sort of back issues or just issues with that kind of thing. So yeah, it'd be pretty big because they were the same red flags that had him slip in the draft. Just his the projected sort of possible issues in terms of injuries. So. It's a massive red flag on both sides of things, and if it sort of comes out that Simmons is really just sort of playing sort of possum a little bit, then he's probably a much better asset than a sort of injured or re-injured Michael Porter Jr., especially with how he's coming out this season. But shit can happen in a couple of weeks and it's just completely flipped. So I'm not going to really sort of hang my hat on anything like this. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Far out, man. I got to get up at 4:30, so
yeah, I'm gonna crash, man, for sure.
Might love you and leave you. So
yeah, easy.
Good stuff, man.
All right, man. We'll catch you next time. Think of it.
All right, man. Catch ya.
See you, mate.